Why does wickedness happen?
After a witch named Galinda arrives in a kingdom called Munchkinland, she announces that the Wicked Witch of the West is dead. Everyone looks happy to hear this, and they dance around the kingdom to celebrate. Before Galinda leaves to continue spreading the news around the land of Oz, a little girl suddenly asks her why wickedness happens. Galinda says it's a really confusing question that makes her wonder if people are born wicked or have wickedness thrust upon them. As she relates it to the story of the Wicked Witch, she talks about how the witch's dad, Throp, was the governor of Munchkinland while her mother had an affair with a salesman who gave her a bottle of green elixir to get her intoxicated. Unfortunately, the salesman got her pregnant and she ended up giving birth to a green baby girl named Elphaba. Throp didn't like this, and he immediately told the nurses to take the baby away. Surprisingly, all the metal objects near the bed get lifted toward the ceiling, and even though everyone looks shocked, Throp insists on taking the baby away.
As it so often does.
One of the nurses, Dulcibert, does just this, but promises to take care of the baby. Years later, Elphaba now has a wheelchair-using sister named Nessaros, who she tells a story about the Wizard of Oz. According to the story, the wizard arrived in Oz in a balloon and built Emerald City with emeralds because he loved them. She adds that the wizard is so powerful that he can grant the heart desires of anyone who meets him. Suddenly, some kids in the neighborhood start singing to insult Elphaba, and this makes Nessaros sad. Elphaba seems pissed at the kids, and she manages to lift some stones off the ground to throw at them. As the kids run away, Elphaba looks surprised by her telekinetic powers. Almost immediately, Throp sees Nessaros crying, and he blames Elphaba for doing something to her sister. This makes Elphaba sad because her dad has never loved her, and he's always looking for an opportunity to insult her. As Throp takes Nessaros away,
and now you've made your sister cry.
Dulcibert comforts Elphaba and says that her dad shouldn't have blamed her. After Galinda stops the story at this point, she says she has to return to Emerald City to attend to some things due to the wizard's unexpected departure. Almost immediately, another resident asks if Galinda used to be friends with the Wicked Witch, Elphaba. Galinda says they were friends, and as the residents look shocked, she corrects herself and mentions that she knew Elphaba. As she also says that their paths did cross, she decides to tell the story of how they met at Shiz University a few years ago. On that day, after Galinda's parents drop her off at Shiz, a boy named Bok tries to strike up a conversation with her because he likes her. However, Galinda doesn't seem interested in him, and she refers to him as a stranger. Shortly after, Elphaba shows up and gets the attention of all the students. As Galinda also sees her, she looks shocked and starts wondering how someone can be green.
It's just... you're green.
Elphaba says that's how she is, and it's not like she's seasick. Galinda says she's sorry that Elphaba has to be green, and that she hopes she'll be able to take care of Elphaba's problem after she graduates from sorcery class. Everyone applauds Galinda for this, but Elphaba doesn't look impressed. She adds that Galinda is only trying to be nice because she craves attention. Before Galinda can respond, Throp wheels Nessaros toward the school's entrance while scolding Elphaba for running off without them. Elphaba then leaves Galinda and goes to meet her father and sister. Almost immediately, Throp gives Nessaros a pair of silver shoes that belonged to her late mother. Nessaros thanks him for this, and he says he'll put the shoes in her box. After he walks away, Elphaba says she's really excited that her sister is going to Shiz. Nessaros says she'll miss her, but Elphaba mentions that she's sure her sister will make new friends and enjoy her time at Shiz.
I'll miss you.
Shortly after, all the new students are told to report to the quad. As Throp is about to take Nessaros inside, Elphaba says her sister can go alone. Nessaros looks pleased because it's what she wants, but Throp still forces Elphaba to help her sister settle in well. When all the students get to the quad, the Shiz president introduces them to the head of the history department, Dr. Dillamond, and the dean of sorcery studies, Madame Morrible. Everyone looks excited to see Morrible, and as she gets to the stage, she welcomes all the new students. After her speech, the head shistress, Miss Coddle, tells all the students to check out their dormitory designations before they leave the quad. As the other students do this, Galinda runs after Morrible to ask if she can join Morrible's sorcery class. Morrible says she doesn't accept new students unless someone special comes along. Before Galinda can make a case for herself, Morrible just ignores her and walks away. Meanwhile, Elphaba sees Coddle trying to take Nessarose to her room.
Miss Nessa Rose, isn't it?
Yes.
The governor's daughter.
Nessarose says she would like to go herself, and Elphaba also tells Coddle to leave her sister, but the head shistress doesn't listen to them. As she wheels Nessarose away, Elphaba gets pissed and uses her powers to stop the wheelchair. Unfortunately, she also ends up lifting the wheelchair and the benches in the quad. Everyone looks shocked by this, but Elphaba eventually manages to bring Nessarose down safely. As all the students stare at them, Nessarose looks disappointed because she thought coming to Shiz would give her a chance to make friends without everyone thinking that her sister is weird. Elphaba says she's sorry, but Nessarose just wheels herself away. Almost immediately, Morrible shows up and tells all the students that she's responsible for what happened. She says she just wants to teach them to expect the unexpected at Shiz.
Yes, that was me.
After this, she approaches Elphaba and asks if anyone would like to volunteer to be Elphaba's roommate. Galinda doesn't hear the question completely before she volunteers, and Morrible says she'll be staying with Elphaba. The two girls don't look happy about this, but Morrible tells Elphaba to come with her. As they walk away, Elphaba thanks Morrible for taking the blame for what happened. She adds that she doesn't think she can enroll at Shiz because her dad would never agree. However, Morrible tells her not to worry because she'll speak to Throt later. She also asks when Elphaba discovered her talent. Elphaba says it's not a talent and that something just takes control of her and causes bad things to happen. Morrible believes Elphaba will be able to do great things if she can control her powers. She adds that she has been waiting to meet someone with Elphaba's gift and that she'll even write a letter to the Wizard of Oz about her. Elphaba looks happy about this, and she starts thinking about how her powers might be a blessing that will help her meet the wizard so he can change her skin color.
When I meet the wizard.
Shortly after, she heads to her room and sees that it's filled with Galinda's things. Elphaba doesn't think this is fair, but Galinda says she was supposed to have a private suite. Elphaba eventually sees the small space left for her, but she doesn't complain. Galinda then mentions that she knows Elphaba was responsible for what happened earlier. Elphaba denies this, but as Galinda keeps disturbing her, she accidentally uses her powers to shatter the glass on the door. Galinda looks shocked by this, but Elphaba just walks away. The next day, the new students attend Dillamon's class, and while he's talking, he refers to Galinda as Glinda. Galinda immediately corrects him, but Dillamon still makes the same mistake. As Galinda seems pissed, Elphaba defends Dillamon because she knows he can't pronounce it better than he already has. Dillamon confirms this and says that he lacks front upper teeth because he's a goat.
Some of us are different.
As he then continues his lecture, he talks about being one of the last animal professors at Shiz. He also tells the students about a time when humans and animals lived in harmony. He adds that things changed after the Great Drought because when people got hungry and angry, they just decided to blame the animals for it. Galinda tells him to stop talking about the past, but Dillamon says they can't escape it. Suddenly, Dillamon turns the other side of the chalkboard and sees a rude message saying that animals should be seen and not heard. This makes him uncomfortable, and he tells all the students to leave. Elphaba stays back to comfort him, and he offers to be her only friend at Shiz. Shortly after, Morrible tries to get Elphaba to move a coin on the table with her powers. Elphaba is unable to do this, but Morrible still encourages her as she notices that there's something on Elphaba's mind. She asks if it's related to what happened in Dillamon's class.
That must have been so distressful for you.
Elphaba then sounds pissed as she says that no one should ever be mocked or looked down on. Surprisingly, her rage gets the coin and the other things in the room to move, and Morrible looks impressed. She also tells Elphaba that if she's able to harness her emotions, it won't be long before she gets to meet the wizard. Later that night, Elphaba sees Dillamond leaving the school, and she tries to tell him to wait. Dillamond doesn't hear her, but Elphaba still follows him until he gets to a house where he meets with some other talking animals who lament about how they're now getting blamed for everything that goes wrong. As Elphaba stays outside, she hears Dillamond saying that animals have started going missing, and there's a rumor that they're being silenced so that they won't be able to talk anymore. Almost immediately, the animals notice that someone is outside, and as Dillamond checks who it is, he sees Elphaba. He then invites her into the house, and she asks if everything he talked about is true.
Let me get you some tea.
Dillamond says it is, but that Elphaba can't tell anyone. Elphaba believes someone has to tell the wizard about it because it's important, but Dillamond insists that no one can be trusted. After Elphaba leaves the house, she bumps into a prince named Fiyero, who is riding his horse through the woods. Fiyero looks shocked to see that Elphaba is green, and even though she gets defensive, he doesn't seem to have a problem with her skin color. He also offers to give Elphaba a ride, but she just ignores him and walks away. The next day, Galinda learns that a handsome prince is coming to Shiz as a transfer student. This gets her excited, and she dresses up nicely so she can get him to like her. Shortly after, Fiyero arrives at Shiz, and Galinda makes him notice her. She also offers to give him a tour, and he gladly accepts. When they get to the library, Fiyero sees Elphaba and waves at her, but she just ignores him. After a while, Fiyero asks Galinda what they do for fun at Shiz.
So what do you do for fun around here?
Galinda looks confused, but Fiyero asks if they always go to the Osdust ballroom. Galinda says it's illegal, but Fiyero doesn't seem to care. Book eventually interrupts them and says that no one is allowed to go into town after dark. However, Fiyero insists that it's not a problem, and he tells them about how schools always teach the wrong lessons. He adds that he wants all the students to come to the Osdust ballroom for a party so they can have fun and avoid stress. The students look excited by this, and Bulk asks Galinda if she would like to go out with him. Galinda doesn't seem interested, but she tells Balk that he'd be her hero if he asks Nessa Rose to be his date instead. Balk says he'd do anything for Galinda, and he heads over to meet Nessa Rose. Shortly after, Nessa Rose tells Elphaba that she's about to have the best night of her life because of Galinda. Elphaba doesn't like this, but Nessa Rose tells her not to judge Galinda because she actually encouraged Balk to ask her out.
Go ask her right now.
Why not? She's right there.
Even though he was shy at first, Elphaba says it's fine, and she looks happy for her sister. Much later, Galinda and her friends, Shenshin and Fanny, get dressed for the party. Fanny eventually sees a black pointed hat in Galinda's wardrobe, and he looks disgusted by it. Galinda says it's for her grandmother, and she'd actually be ready to give it away, but she doesn't hate anyone that much. Shenshin and Fanny suggest giving it to Elphaba, and Galinda agrees. When Elphaba enters the room, Galinda invites her to the party and tells her to wear the hat. Elphaba looks surprised by this, but she still accepts the hat. Shortly after, Galinda heads to the party and dances with Fiyero. As Bulk sees this, he tries to forget about Galinda, so he tells Nessaros that he really likes her and believes that they deserve to be together. Nessaros looks happy when she hears this, but she's not aware that Bulk's true love interest is Galinda.
Oh, no. I don't feel sorry for you.
A while later, Morrible shows up at the ballroom and asks to speak to Galinda. When they're alone, she gives Galinda a training wand and tells her to thank Elphaba for it. Galinda looks confused, but Morrible says Elphaba threatened to quit her sorcery class if Galinda isn't allowed to join them. Galinda doesn't know why Elphaba did that, but Morrible says she can thank her roommate who has just arrived. Almost immediately, Elphaba walks into the ballroom with the hat, and everyone laughs at her. Galinda looks disappointed by this, and as Elphaba starts dancing alone, she joins her roommate. This also gets everyone to dance with them, and Elphaba looks happy about this. When they return to their room, Galinda tells Elphaba that they're now friends. She also suggests telling each other a secret. She then goes first and says that she's going to marry Fiyero. Elphaba finds this funny because it's not a real secret, but Galinda says she's sure Fiyero will ask her to be his wife one day.
Let's tell each other something we've never told anyone before.
Even though Elphaba initially refuses to say anything, she eventually mentions that her dad hates her and has a good reason for it. Galinda doesn't understand this, but Elphaba says that when her mom was pregnant with Nessa Rose, Throp was scared that she'd turn green. He then forced his wife to eat a lot of milk flowers, which caused Nessa Rose to be born too early and left her legs affected. Elphaba's mom also died after giving birth to Nessaros, but Galinda says it was the milk flower's fault. She then consoles her friend and offers to give her a makeover. The next day, just as Elphaba enters the classroom, she gives Dillamond some poppy flowers, but he tells her that now is not a good time. Elphaba looks confused but heads to her seat, and Dillamond tells the students that today will be his last day at Shiz, because animals are no longer allowed to teach.
What is this? What's happening?
Almost immediately, Caudle and some guards enter the classroom to take Dillamond away. Elphaba doesn't believe it's right, but Caudle says it's out of their hands. She also tells Elphaba to return to her seat because the new professor, Nikidik, has a presentation for them. Elphaba does just this, but as Nikidik shows the students a lion cub inside a cage, she looks disgusted. Nikidik calls it a remarkable innovation, but Elphaba realizes that it's meant to keep animals locked away to prevent them from learning how to speak. She then tells Fiyero and Galinda that they have to do something. As Fiyero seems hesitant, Elphaba angrily hits the poppy flowers on the table. Surprisingly, some of the flowers start flying around the classroom to put everyone to sleep. Fiyero doesn't get affected, and as Elphaba wonders what she has just done, he quickly tells her that they need to escape with the cub. Following this, they leave the premises with the cub and head into the woods. There, Fiyero jokes that Elphaba likes to cause a commotion.
So you think I should just keep my mouth shut? Is that what you're saying?
But she doesn't find this funny. She also says he looks unhappy, but he doesn't respond to this. As they eventually hold hands, Elphaba realizes that she's falling for him. He then asks why he wasn't affected by what happened in the classroom, but Elphaba doesn't know what to say. After this, Fiyero suggests taking the cub far away to safety, and he leaves immediately. Elphaba still feels drawn to him, but she slowly accepts that he might never like her. Meanwhile, Morrible checks the classroom and sees that all the students are sleeping. As she realizes that Elphaba did something to them, she smiles and returns to her office to write a letter to the wizard. Days later, the wizard sends Elphaba an invitation to come to Emerald City to see him. Everyone looks happy for Elphaba, and Morrible says she'd have to prove herself to the wizard when she gets to Emerald City. Elphaba says she doesn't think she's ready, but Morrible encourages her.
This is your chance to make good.
As a train to Emerald City arrives, Elphaba gets ready to leave Shiz. She then sees Galinda and asks about Fiyero. Galinda says that Fiyero has been acting strange since the day Dillamond got fired, and she's surprised that he cared so much about a goat. Elphaba doesn't respond to this, but Fiyero shows up and tells her that he hasn't been able to stop thinking about the other day with Dillamond and the lion cub. Galinda looks confused because she doesn't know what he's talking about, but she says she feels the same way. She also rounds up all the students and says that she'd like to change her name to Glinda in honor of Dillamond. All the students clap for her, but Fiyero just gives Elphaba a flower and wishes her good luck in Emerald City. Almost immediately, he walks away, and Galinda complains about this. Elphaba says she's sure Fiyero still loves her, but Galinda still seems bothered.
What is that?
Don't be upset, Galinda.
Interestingly, Throp also happens to be at Shiz, and Nessa Rose introduces Bok to him. Throp says he has heard a lot about Bok, and that he hopes his daughter's boyfriend will always take care of her. Bok looks confused by this, but he doesn't say anything else. Shortly after, Elphaba gets on the train and invites Galinda to come with her to Emerald City. Galinda looks surprised, but she quickly gets on the train because she also wants to go to Emerald City. Much later, they arrive at Emerald City and look impressed with the place. On their way to the wizard's castle, they watch a street play about the wizard. According to the play, the wizard came to Oz in its darkest hour and fulfilled a prophecy by reading a sacred grimmerie spellbook. Shortly after, Elphaba and Galinda are taken into the wizard's castle by the head of his monkey guards, Chistery. On the way, Elphaba looks scared, but Galinda encourages her and says that she's sure her friend will do well. This makes Elphaba more confident, and as they get to the main hall, they see a giant robot that tells them to introduce themselves.
Who are you?
As Elphaba says her name, the robot goes off, and the wizard shows up to welcome her to Oz. He looks surprised to see Galinda, but Elphaba says she came with her friend. The wizard then shows them a design of the future Emerald City, which he says can be Elphaba's new home. Elphaba looks worried that she'd still be green, but the wizard says it doesn't have to be like that. As he asks if her heart's desire is to change her skin color, Elphaba says she wants to save the animals instead. The wizard says he likes her suggestion because it's something he also wants. Galinda looks happy for Elphaba, and the wizard tells them about how he likes to treat all the citizens of Oz like his children. Shortly after, Morrible arrives and looks happy to see Elphaba. Almost immediately, Chistery shows them the grimmerie, and Elphaba and Galinda look shocked. Morrible says it's an ancient book of wisdom and enchantments,
That's the ancient book of wisdom.
and Galinda asks if she can touch it. Morrible says she can't, but Elphaba continues staring at the grimmerie. The wizard then tells Morrible that Elphaba might not be ready to cast a spell from the book. Elphaba says she'd like to try, and as she stands in front of the book, it opens. Morrible looks shocked, and the wizard asks what spell they should start with. Morrible says they've been working on levitation, and the wizard tells Elphaba to look at Chistery. As he says that Chistery likes watching birds, the words in the grimmerie suddenly start glowing, and Morrible looks amazed. She says it's the lost language of spells, and that Elphaba doesn't have to be worried if she can't decipher it. However, Elphaba suddenly starts reciting the words, and this leaves Morrible, Galinda, and the wizard shocked. Just then, Chistery feels a weird pain in his back, and Elphaba asks what's wrong with him.
What did I tell you?
Morrible says it's just the transition, and that Elphaba doesn't have to worry about it. Elphaba asks how she can reverse it, but Morrible says that spells from the grimmerie can't be reversed. Almost immediately, Chistery develops wings and starts flying, and Galinda looks proud of her friend. Elphaba doesn't like this, and as she checks up on the other monkey guards, she sees that they're now struggling to develop wings. Morrible and the wizard look amazed, and as they refer to the flying monkeys as the perfect spies, Elphaba looks confused. The wizard then says they can also be called scouts because their jobs will be to report seditious animal activity. Elphaba doesn't support this, but Galinda says that the wizard is probably doing the right thing. Almost immediately, Elphaba realizes that the wizard is the one who turned people against the animals. She also figures out that Morrible has been working with him. Before Morrible can say anything, Elphaba gives the wizard the book and tells him to read it. Surprisingly, the wizard cannot do this, and Elphaba realizes that he has no powers.
You have no real power!
The wizard then mentions that there was discontent in Oz when he arrived, and he was able to solve that by giving the citizens a common enemy. Elphaba doesn't like this, but the wizard and Morrible try to convince her that they can still achieve great things together. Elphaba blatantly rejects their offer, and she leaves the room angrily. Morrible then turns to Galinda and tells her to bring Elphaba back. As Galinda follows her friend, Morrible threatens to kill the families of the monkey guards if they don't stop Elphaba from escaping. The wizard also makes an announcement to his guards to stop Elphaba from running away. Almost immediately, Elphaba realizes that the monkeys are coming after her, and she quickly tries to escape with the wizard's balloon. Galinda asks what she's doing, but she just tells her friend to come with her. Unfortunately, the roof gets closed before they can escape, and the balloon gets destroyed. They manage to jump off before the balloon falls to the ground, and they quickly find a place to hide.
You have got to let him explain.
Over my dead body.
Galinda then tries to convince Elphaba to listen to the wizard, but she says she can never do what he wants. She adds that Galinda is only worried about her ambitions. Almost immediately, they hear an announcement from Morrible to the citizens of Oz, telling them that Elphaba has stolen the grimmerie and is responsible for the mutilation of the monkeys. She adds that Elphaba's green skin is nothing but an outward manifestation of her twisted nature. nature. Elphaba also hears Morrible call her a wicked witch, and this makes her sad. Galinda then holds Elphaba's hand and tells her not to be afraid. Elphaba says she's not, but that the wizard should be scared of her. Galinda tells Elphaba not to think like that, and she suggests going back to say sorry to the wizard. She also mentions that Elphaba can still get everything she has always wanted. Elphaba says she doesn't want it anymore,
It's the wizard who should be afraid of me.
and she tries to cast a spell from the grimmerie to give herself wings. This doesn't work, and Galinda says she might not be as powerful as she thinks. Elphaba looks sad when she hears this, but a broom suddenly comes to life and flies toward her. Galinda looks shocked by this, but Elphaba grabs the broom and tells her friend to come with her. Galinda doesn't seem ready to leave, and she just says that Elphaba is trembling. After placing a black cloth on Elphaba like a cape, Galinda says she hopes her friend is happy with her choice. Elphaba says the same thing to Galinda, and she gets ready to fly away. Before she can do this, the wizard's guards show up and grab Galinda. Elphaba tries to help her, but as she gets surrounded, she jumps out through the window. Unfortunately, she's unable to control the broom, and as she falls toward the ground, she suddenly sees a reflection of her younger self in front of her. As she then reaches for her younger self's hand, the broom appears in her hand, and she uses it to fly back up. Everyone looks shocked by this, but Elphaba just flies further up into the sky. When Throp hears Morrible's announcement, he gets a heart attack, and Nessarose quickly heads toward him.
She has stolen our grimmerie.
Fiyero also sees Elphaba in the sky and leaves Shiz with his horse. Back at the castle, Morrible tells the guards to release Galinda. Before Galinda can say anything, Morrible hugs her. Almost immediately, Elphaba flies close to the castle and says that no one will ever be able to bring her down. As she sings loudly, she destroys all the lights in the castle before flying away with the broom. After years of neglect from her father, Elphaba gets accepted into Shiz, and she meets Morrible, who promises to take her to meet the Wizard of Oz. This makes Elphaba happy because she believes the wizard will be able to change her skin color. However, when Elphaba meets the wizard, she realizes that he's just an ordinary man who has lured her to Emerald City, so she can use her powers to take full control of Oz. Elphaba refuses to do this, but the wizard and Morrible quickly label her a wicked witch so that everyone will hate her.